Welcome back, guys, to another exciting episode of Log Post Lounge. With the announcement of One Piece Odyssey, our crew is joined by special guest Phil, along with my co-host Adrian. I'm Chris, and we're here to talk about what makes the One Piece game great.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. This is the voice of Phil, and you'll be hearing me throughout the video. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk some One Piece.
Yes, let's get into it. So I thought it would be a good idea to talk about our history of One Piece games and where we started. Do you guys know your first One Piece game that you played?
I'll go first, since my history is going to be very brief. I have no history with One Piece games. I love the series, but I haven't had the chance to really explore this series. I know that I played one of the Warrior games with you before, Chris, but it wasn't enough to really capture my attention. I have nothing against Warrior games. It's just not my type of style.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Phil?
I thought long and hard. I had to remember what was my first One Piece game. And thinking back, I think it was Pirate Warriors 2. That's the one that comes to mind. It was the great sort of what-if story featuring characters from the New World. I think that was a really good one to have as a first One Piece game experience. You know, the music was great, the combat was a lot of fun, and they added a bunch of interesting characters outside of the main cast and crew.
Yes, that is a great one. As for my first game, it was One Piece Gigant Battle for DS. I actually imported the Europe version because it never came out in America. And that is more like sprite-based Smash Bros. Type of One Piece fighter, and a lot of characters in it. It's a lot of fun. Do you have a favorite One Piece game, Phil?
Yes. My favorite One Piece game that I've played thus far is Unlimited World Red. It was just enough sort of mission-based exploration, action RPG sort of game where you could play each of the different, at the time, Straw Hat crew. And the environments were all very different. It was fun to explore. It was just a very satisfying way to travel through the One Piece world.
My favorite One Piece game is Pirate Warriors 2. Mainly because that was the first system One Piece game that I played co-op with friends.
But yeah, I'm really interested to kind of play more One Piece games, despite having no history, just because the series itself is very rich with characters who have just wonderful powers.
All right, let's get into Peace Odyssey. They released a trailer last week for this game. It was announcing the 25th anniversary of One Piece that's coming up this summer. And this game is a JRPG, which has been in development for 3+ years, and the creature and characters are designed by Oda.
Yeah, they very much look like his design.
And the composer of the music in this game is by Moto Sakuraba. He did the Tales games and all the Dark Souls games.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm all in favor for that. I think One Piece, especially with Luffy and his abilities, I think they can only work as turn-based. It's just hard to implement it in open world context like World Seeker.
I half agree with that. I think Luffy's abilities and all the Straw Hat abilities were implemented fine in some of the other action-based games.
They continue on with the game. This was developed by ILAC. The only game they've actually developed themselves fully is the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes. They have done support development on Yakuza 0, Dragon Quest, Nier Automata. So it's kind of an iffy, I don't know.
Yeah, it's what aspects of those other games did they actually help with?
Just hope that they take some of that combat, take some of the RPG element from Nier Automata, and hopefully translate it well.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with what I've seen from this dev is they like to play it safe. The Diamond and Pearl remakes are essentially 1-to-1. They feel old Pokemon games, and not in a good way, so...
But how much of that was because Nintendo or Pokemon Company was responsible for that? There's so much freedom you can do if the upper management tells you oh, you can't really spice it up too much.
I don't know. Look at the other remakes we've gotten. Those have done different things.
Yeah, I'm sort of worried that if that's their turn-based RPG experience that they have under their belt, then as much as I love turn-based RPGs, I grew up with them, super nostalgic for them, and I'll play them. I'll even tolerate the really bad ones to an extent. But something over the years that's sort of started to grate on me is just how slow a lot of the battles can be, especially like with Pokemon's one of the biggest offenders for me right now because there's no excuse why they haven't like spiffied it up yet. But just like how slow it is to select your attack, select your target, wait for the game to tell you what attack you're using, wait for the game to look at the target, wait for the animation to play, wait for the enemy hit animation to play, wait for, 1, 2, or 3 dialogue boxes about what just happened to the target, and then repeat over and over, and everything's so, like, step by step and slow, and there's usually not a lot of, like, style to it, that it just can make the game drag out, especially towards the end.
I get what you're saying, especially with JRPG, especially with like how it can drag out, especially with the grinding and like the attacks. And so what I hope is like what Chris brought up is that they had some involvement with Dragon Quest XI. I played Dragon Quest XI, love that game.
Oh yeah,
and they had ways to make it more accessible for like today's gamers, where like you can speed up the attacks, you can skip animations, you can move around during the turn-based combat, which kind of makes it more like active. What do you think about that, Chris? Do you think having those kind of newer mechanics would kind of draw you in? Because I know you're not a big fan of playing JRPGs.
Yeah, that would definitely help. Like if it's more like action based.
What would you think of like a more Tales series like gameplay, where you do get into turn-based battles, but it's more of like action-y too, where you're running around dodging attacks, and then you can attack every so often and like combo skills and stuff.
Yeah, I actually would really like that. That's kind of like the combination of both things.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that.
I don't think so either.
I was like laser focused on the trailer, and there were some scenes where it was just like enemies standing in a line next to each other, and then opposite of that was them showing off like the super move that they were doing. So I think it's going to be very much closer to the traditional Dragon Quest style of combat.
Have you guys played One Piece Romance Dawn on 3DS or PSP?
No, but I heard it also referred to as One Piece Romance Yawn, because apparently it was just really slow and boring. And I think part of one of the criticisms I read about it was that the battles just took too long. Like the animations and stuff and the pacing of the battles was really slow. It was the Pokemon issue where you choose a thing, then you have to wait for it to decide to do the thing, and then you have to watch the long animation, which are like, cool at first, but once you see it like 20 times and you're just trying to like grind out or like skip through all the trash mobs because you're like over leveled, then you just don't want to waste 30 seconds of every turn watching the same thing you've already seen 30,000 times already.
That's exactly right. I played it on 3DS and it is a slog. Like every level you do has like this running section you have to go through, and it's super long, and the combat wise you fight through different things, but you have to like move your character as well, and that's like part of your action for the turn. If you move, you can't attack if you're too far away, so it's just a lot of long and drawn out. So I hope it's not similar to that, because that wasn't very fun.
They gotta go Persona 5 with this game, basically.
Yeah, Persona 3, 4, 5, like, copy that gameplay, have it sleek, classy, you get the jazzy, like, One Piece, yeah, we're pumped music from, like, Pirate Warriors 2 and stuff like that during the battles, and just make it really quick, and, you have the recipe for a great game there. I don't see, Persona's great. Why not just copy Persona?
I agree. Like, it should be very flashy. It definitely should be very fast-paced, the combat, and have some just amazing music playing in the background. And which kind of leads me to my next point is, like, they gotta make every character viable in the sense like every character should be having like this amazing combo like in Persona. I
Yeah,
know in
well,
Persona 5 where like you can, if you have two characters, you can do like a showtime with them.
They did show that off in the trailer, and it was like on their website, like you can do like team attacks kind of thing. I don't know if that's what you're referring to for Persona.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Basically.
I got some bad news for you. Not all the characters are going to be viable because Jinbei is not there.
Sad. I mean, that's what
That's all
happens
a
when
comment.
you develop a game from 3 years ago or whatever, start developing. So
That's true. Can't fault him for it.
it's on that note also, I kind of wish Oda would just design, or someone would design new clothes for the games. I'm tired of the Fishman Island gear, the post-time skip gear. I know that's like the generic go-to for everything, but change it up. Like the Unlimited
that's a good
Adventure
point.
games, they had like cool outfits.
I'm sure there's going to be optional like clothing, gear, and stuff. Just because, like, you know how much panels are there of Luffy just dressing up as like a samurai or just a knight in the manga?
That's true. And the movie is coming out end of this year. Why not like, hey, here's free DLC for costumes for the characters kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
good
yeah.
Cross
marketing.
promotion. We did talk about like things that we want to see. Is there anything else you would want to see in this game? I guess story wise or just gameplay?
Romance options. They don't call it Romance Down for nothing.
I don't know. Story-wise, I don't really care. It'll probably have the same effect on me as like any sort of shonen anime movie that's based off a series where it's like nothing can really like happen in the end because it's, you know, story-wise it's technically filler. So it probably won't have that much of an effect on me either way. It'll probably just be like, oh, that's interesting. And that'll be it, and I'll forget about it as soon as I'm done playing the game.
Yeah. I think all the like Unlimited games and World Seeker, those stories are pretty forgettable at the end of the day. It's like, here's this bad guy. He has kind of a cool power, but then that was it. The end.
Yeah, he's bad, but he had a sad backstory, so he's
Exactly.
bad for good reasons. But in the end, he's still bad. And then right after you kick his butt, he's like, "Oh no, I see what I did now. Thank you, Luffy and the Straw Hats. And I'm going to go off on my own journey now and think about what I did."
I would like to see having a nice party, like Zoro being like the physical. Nominee will be the Sage, Mage, Chopper, Healer, Support, Sanji, Support. You know, just kind of having them fill in like little niches of a typical JRPG.
Yeah, and on top of that, what would go really well with that, I think, is I want to be able to, like, quick swap in battle. So think of it like a Final Fantasy X sort of thing, if you're familiar with that, where, you know, you can use anyone on your team, and you start out, you know, you only have 3 characters fighting at a time, but you can, you know, use your turn to, like, quick swap, or even more exciting, like a swap in attack or something, to switch out to a different party member that might have an advantage over the enemy that you're fighting that's not present in your team of 3, that you would need to switch into Zoro to cut to do like extra damage to. You could do that even if you were running like Frankie, Robin, and Luffy on your team. It's like, oh, switch out Frankie for Zoro, so I can, you know, counter this enemy that popped up.
Plus, then you can use more Straw Hats than just like, oh, these are the ones I like. I'm not going to switch it up. Like, there would be a reason
exactly.
to actually switch it up. Kind of on the party thing, do you think we'll see other characters other than the Straw Hats in your group? I know we see Smoker in the trailer. You think we'll see Smoker or other support characters that will be playable on your team?
I could see Jinbei being like DLC down the road.
I mean, I'm sure you'll get characters popping up, you know, just as random NPCs.
All right, let's move on to our ideal One Piece game, or what One Piece game would you like to see be made? My pick is, I was thinking about different games, and I think a JRPG, maybe not in the style we talked about, like the Odyssey style, but the JRPG in general would fit with One Piece, just because there's so many characters. And I was thinking about One Piece games I've played. Treasure Cruise, that's like a mobile game. That game you can play as all of the characters, like almost all the One Piece characters in the series. Like if you want to play random pirate from episode 1, you can. So just like having all those characters in a game would be super cool. And it's like building your crew out, your own crew type of thing.
Interesting. I like the idea of building your own crew.
Like if you want Blackbeard and Chopper on a team, go for it. And the other idea was just a spin on the Dragon Ball Fighters game. I just want a One Piece Fighters game just because that game looks super pretty.
Yeah, that's what I definitely want to see.
Yeah. All right, Phil, tell us your awesome and better game than ours.
Well, I wasn't going to say that part out loud. All right, everyone, hold on to your colas, because we're about to get super with this one. I did the Frankie pose. You can't see that because we're not recording video, but I did the Frankie pose. It was great. So my idea of the ideal One Piece game would be a cross between something like Dragon Ball Xenoverse and Unlimited World Red. So you'd have a blend of like action adventure, but you would create a character that for some story reason would get some sort of, I mean, you can't call it the clone fruit because that's an actual devil fruit already, but like a copy fruit or a void fruit or something that was like that fruit's special power is like mimicking the techniques of other people. And so the story would be, I don't know, some sort of person creates basically all of these weird like sort of multiverse things and like traps all of the different like big famous One Piece characters. So you start out, you create a character, have these basic stats, and you save characters starting with like the Straw Hats crew. And then by saving them, you can start to learn their techniques that become your special attacks. And you can, mix and match different techniques. And it could be anybody's technique. It doesn't matter. Like, you're just a dude or dudette. And you can have, some of Luffy's gum powers, some of Smoker's smoke powers. And so throughout this game, you would be going to these areas, that you can explore that represent different parts of the world. And maybe some that even represent some of the movies. If you want to go that crazy into it. And you'd be fighting enemies and doing tasks. So sort of like a more open, less like 1v1 version of like a Xenoverse fighting system. But yeah, so it'd be this mix of like, yeah, it's sort of action, sort of RPG, but it is like a builder team, and maybe incorporating your idea, Chris, where you could actually like swap out between like multiple members of yourself, or maybe you could team up with certain characters in certain missions.
That's brilliant. That's brilliantly done. I really like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, same. I feel like a lot of those character creator games can be kind of generic and not good, but I like the idea of having it not just being a traditional like arena fighter kind of thing, like having it more adventure based. I like that part.
It also fits with the ethos of One Piece itself, where it's like it's a traveling anime. You're going through all of these different places and worlds and having an adventure. It's more than just the shonen fights.
Kind of bouncing off your guys' ideas, what you guys have talked about. This idea for a game, kind of like putting your games together, is like kind of like a Mass Effect One Piece game, where like you can build your own crew, but they're like established characters for different, like it's like having a fishman in your crew or having a mink in your crew. But I kind of would like to see a One Piece game set in the past, prior to the age of Goldie Roger.
That's like 800 years of stuff you can play with, and it can just be like random pirate crew and like be based on like your story. Like you said, like the Mass Effect is more like a story-based type of game.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the account, like, just creating your own character and just kind of building relationships with your crew members. And maybe out of a cast out of like maybe 15 characters, you can only recruit like 7.
Maybe like you like take them on missions with you, stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Mass Effect did that as well. Like this mission I want these characters who will be helpful kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see something like that.
Yeah. And on like Phil's idea, like Xenoverse I think is a good layout of like things that would fit well, but also things that would probably not be great.
But hopefully Odyssey is what we all are looking for in a One Piece game. Hopefully it turns out to be one of the best.
Thank you so much, Phil, for joining us.
Thank you, Phil, for joining us. Thank you for your input.
Yes, very.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. I'd love to do this
sure.
again sometime.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And also, viewers, please like this video to help us out and subscribe if you want to see more content